It's January 6th. Just a few days left here in the Iowa season. And I'm back at this property, back on this bean field that I've made 4 hunts on now. Once on the ground and then a couple times in stands back on this edge. But I've seen a ton of deer, but had very few deer in bow range. And I didn't like my chances of continuing to sit there just hoping one would work in one of these nights. Most of the food is on this half of the field, so the other morning my buddy and I came and we put this hawk blind was sitting off on this corner. We hadn't really used it yet. We came and put some skids on it and drug it out in this field, and it's not quite in the middle of the field, but it's definitely out in the field. So as long as the deer respond to it okay, should have plenty of deer in bow range tonight. We'll see how they react to it. It's now been, this will be the 3rd day that it's been out in the field. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think, it was already sitting there and no one's hunted it, so it's, there's not really that danger association. So I think I'll be fine. Of course, I'd always rather be in a stand, but I think with time dwindling, this was going to give me my best opportunity. We'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of deer using this field, so it could get interesting if I have deer on all sides of the blind. We did get a little fresh snow this morning, which is ideal, even though it's still relatively warm. It was nice to get some snow cover and hopefully increase the utilization of this field instead of, just browsing out in the pick beans or wherever. So we'll see what happens. There's 4 mature bucks that I know of that have been using this property, so kind of crazy to have that many, but I like the odds of at least seeing one of them tonight. Countdown is definitely on. I'm gonna enjoy these final few sits, and hopefully tonight's a good one. was pretty fun. That was a cool encounter right there. That's one of the mature bucks. Likely the oldest one on this farm. We don't have any history. My buddy and I, they're working on this piece. This is our first year, but that deer sure looks overly mature. I've seen him a couple times now. We've been calling him Sneezy. I don't know if the camera would pick it up or not, but every time I've seen him, you can hear him breathing from a long ways away. It sounds like he's got bad asthma or something. It's like almost a constant snort wheeze. That nasally, really loud breathing. So we're calling him Sneezy, but pretty cool. I'd love to know how old that deer is. I noticed how stained his tarsals were too. But if he comes back out, those bucks, a group of 5 bucks, they kind of just fed in a circle, just early afternoon feeding and back in the timber right now. They'll likely be back out before dark. They're just kind of milling around in there, but just came in, grabbed a little snack. So no other deer. There's a little fawn out here, but it's just a group of bucks and the single fawn so far. But good to see a mature buck that early on the hunt for sure. Alright, it's January 7th, and just a few more days left of Iowa's season. This is my second day in a row in this blind. It's kind of out in the middle of the field here, and had a good hunt last night. The only mature buck that it showed was that old buck we call Sneezy, but unfortunately never worked his way in range. Ton of deer though. It's tough to do it justice, trying to not get busted by 40 deer, do all the filming and everything. But man, I was definitely covered up. It's probably upper 20s today. We got a bunch of snow coming tomorrow, which I wish we had right now, but a bunch of snow in the next couple days, so it'll be an interesting finish to the season. I talked about it before, but the reason for this blind and why it's here is I've been hunting a couple different trees on this field edge back here, and just can't quite get them in bow range based on where they like to eat in this field where most of the beans are. So moved this blind in for these last few days. Just try to get one in bow range here, so we'll see how it goes. They moved early yesterday, or at least that group of bucks did, so I'll be anxious to see which bucks move. One thing is kind of interesting is, while I've hunted this plot a few times now, I think 5 different times, almost never see the same bucks on back-to-back nights. It's like they go through a rotation or something, so we'll see, except for the young bucks, but at least the better, older bucks don't seem to be here on the same back-to-back night, so we'll see if that holds true tonight. Would love to see one of these other bucks that weren't here last night, so looking forward to the afternoon. Well, yet another fun hunt in that spot. Although that's probably the fewest amount of deer I've seen in all my hunts there. It was still a good hunt. More good young buck encounters. And then right at the end, I don't know what the footage will show, but it was a few minutes after legal shooting light. I was packing up and I peeked out and looked across the pick beans, and here came that happy buck, one of the main targets, coming across, heading right towards me. And I kind of had a decision to make at that point. Do I let him continue to come as I'm packing up, or do I hurry up and try to clear the field? And that's what I elected to do. I wanted him to be further away when I cleared the field, just for him at least to not associate the danger directly with the blind. What I actually did as I opened the back door and kind of coyote howled with my mouth towards the timber, and obviously it didn't take long to clear the field, but hopefully I didn't do too much long-term damage for that buck anyways. I don't have any time to let that place settle. Just a couple hunts left here. Looking at the forecast, I think I'm going to take my recurve tomorrow and go after my recurve target. And then I'll be back to this property on the second to last day of season. So I keep saying it, but the countdown's definitely on, and it'll be an interesting finish with this weather coming in for these last few hunts.